Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're continuing with a look back at the Exorcist films. This is the Exorcist 2, the Heretic, and yeah, it's not the best one by any chance. In fact, this probably is the worst. Um, so, like I previously mentioned, I had only watched the Exorcist once, the story having been spoiled for me from a very young age, so I never actually watched it until very recently, which is now thinking about it's probably like 8 or 9 years ago, and then I watched it once again a few days back to do the review. Immediately after watching it for the first time, within like maybe 2-3 days, I had watched the second one, the first sequel in the series. So, like I mentioned, I don't think it's the best. It definitely is, probably is the worst in the series. It came out in 1977, and it's directed by John Bowman and written by William Goldhart. So you have returning to the franchise, you have Linda Blair, you have Max von Sydow in flashback scenes, and you have Kitty Wynn reprising her role as the assistant to Linda Blair's character's mom. But joining the franchise are Richard Burton, Louise Fletcher, yes, Kai Wynn Adami herself from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, one of the probably most hated characters in all of Star Trek. But yeah, she probably is a very nice lady. Passed away recently. But yeah, Louise Fletcher playing a doctor, and you also have James Earl Jones in a small supporting role. This is actually set 4 years after the previous film, exactly from the movie itself. So Regan is now 16 years old, and she doesn't know that she had this possession. She had been possessed by a demon. So they have a feeling that she suppressed all those memories. So something to note, apparently the actress Ellen Bernstein refused to actually Ellen Bernstein actually refused to do her character role once again. So instead they had her live somewhere else and have Regan be under the care of her assistant. What's the name of the character? Sharon Spencer, played by Kitty Wynn. So she's also undergoing psychiatric test by under the experienced doctor, what's her name? Psychiatrist Institute, by Dr. Jean Tuskin, played by Louise Fletcher. So at the beginning of the movie, you see this and yet another priest, Philip Lamont, who is struggling with his faith. It seems to be all the cases with Catholic priests. So he's trying to help this demonically possessed woman in Latin America. She seems to be doing some sort of miracles and stuff over there. However, the exorcism goes wrong. The stage catches on fire, and she gets killed in the incident. But surprisingly enough, the cardinal asks Philip Lamont to go and investigate the death, the incident that led up to the death of Father Merrin from the first movie. So, funny thing enough, that is actually mentioned over here that the church authorities were trying to modernize and do not want to acknowledge that Satan exists. Well, then your entire storyline breaks down. It's actually very odd. Anyway, so basically there's this device known as a synchronizer. I don't know what kind of device it is. It's a revolutionary biofeedback device that allows two people to synchronize their brain waves. Now, Regan is understood to have psychic powers, and I want to say Vinadami, but Dr. Tuskin connects with her on this, and Philip Lamont is there, and it's odd that they're giving him so much leeway in their experiments. But initially, Tuskin is lost, and then he helps to bring her back, and then later onwards, he gets Sharon to take her to the George House town, where the the incidents of the first movie took place, and he is spirited back to the past by Pazuzu, demon, and he observes Father Merrin doing an exorcism on a young boy, Kokubo, in Africa, and there's all this swarm of locusts with a funny noise, and therefore Lamont travels back to Africa in, without consulting the church, and he goes to seek Adel Kokumo, who is played by James Earl Jones. So Kokumo is now a scientist, and he actually is studying how to prevent these swarms of locusts because they leave a, like a devastation in when they go to a particular area. So Lamont learns from him that Pazuzu attacks people who have psychic healing abilities, much like Regan and much like, I guess, himself. Regan is able to, while this is happening, Regan is able to help, which kind of seems an odd thing to happen in between. She's able to help an autistic girl speak for the very first time, much to the surprise of all the doctors and scientists over there. And Kokumo and Regan are, sort of kind of like forerunners in this new part of humanity, which it's believed by Father Merrin that later on all humans will develop this particular ability. And but they are susceptible at the moment. These two are susceptible to the influence of Pazuzu. So in a vision, Merrin approaches Father Lamont and tells him to watch over Regan. He returns back and he takes Regan to the old house in Georgetown. By now he's in a kind of like a trance, and they go there followed by Tuscan and Sharon. Unfortunately, the taxi that Tuscan and Dr. Tuscan and Sharon they are in an accident, and Sharon is under the influence of Pazuzu and lights herself on fire, and pretty soon she dies. When Lamont and Regan go inside, they see an apparition, basically like a succubus, who looks just like Regan, but in the demonic form. And apparently, I read in the details on Wikipedia that Linda Blair didn't want to do the makeup, so it's actually a standby? Yeah, it's a different actress actually playing the role under the makeup. So it is initially, the succubus basically initially tries to control Lamont, but he's helped back to reality with the help by Regan, and then he attacks the doppelganger, and the swarm of locusts start attacking the house. The house starts breaking apart, it's crumbling all around. Lamont manages to kill the Pazuzu, and in the end he takes Regan back to safety to the ground, and Regan is able to banish the locust. So, using one of the rituals that the Kokumo also did as well. Basically, Tuscan is upset that Sharon is dead now, but she tells Lamont to take care of Regan, and as the cops and all arrive, she decides to answer their questions while Regan is led to safety. And I think that's the last time that we see Regan, except for the very latest movie where she's there in a very small cameo at the end. And that's basically it. This movie makes absolutely no sense. It is badly written. I wouldn't say it's badly acted, but the movie is boring. I'll tell you that. 117 minutes and it's really boring. And I believe they had some issues. So here's the funniest part. So Linda Blair agreed. She's now, I think, 19 years old at this point, and I was 18 or 19 at this point, and she agrees to come back for her role as Regan McNeil. Father Merrin's role, Father Merrin was also, Max von Sydow was also convinced to come back in the small, in the flashback roles that he's there as a supporting character. Kitty Wynn came, but like I mentioned, Ellen Bernstein actually refused to do that. I think because she was kind of upset about the way the first movie played out. They actually wanted William O'Malley to come back as Father Joseph Dyer. However, he couldn't do it, so he decided to go for a different character, and therefore Father Philip Lamont was created. John Voight, Jack Nicholson, and Christopher Walken were all at one time in the running to play the part of Philip Lamont, because initially they were looking for a younger priest, but then they decided to go with Richard Burton in the end. For the role of Gene Tuscan, before they finalized on Louis Fletcher, it was supposed to be a male doctor, excuse me, and Chris Sarandon and someone else. George Sagal was actually looked at first. Then decided to make the character a woman. Anne Margaret and Jane Fonda were both under consideration before Louis Fletcher, who had just 2 years previously won the Oscar for best actress for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She accepted the part and is in the movie. Like I said, I don't really fault much of the acting, but the movie is really bad. Nothing could save this particular movie. Rating wise, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's really tedious to get through, to be honest. It was made on a budget of just $14 million. They initially planned for like 7 or 10 or something like that. And at the box office it made $13.7 million. Because of this, the second sequel took a longer time to actually come through. That's, if I remember correctly, that was much better. Anyway, anything would be better than this movie, and yeah, no problem. 6 out of 10. Again, it's difficult for me to watch it, but next time, and that irritating noise that what noise that makes is very difficult to sit through seriously. But yeah, that's basically it for me for Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Moving on. Bye bye.